Oftentimes, I find that there is a imbalance between the hard and soft components of the project funding, and while you have a lot of effort put into developing the substance of the reform, but in getting the message out and communicating and winning stakeholders for the reforms, there oftentimes is not enough funding provided. And equally important is provision of funding for the follow through. Most reforms requires legislation. When the legislation is passed, then people seem to forget about it, which is the most important part. It's the implementation process. And oftentimes when I'm asked about planning a communications program, oftentimes I tell them, I'll give you 3 words. At any time, you can only have 2 out of these 3 words.
Okay, what are these 3 words?
Good, fast, and cheap. If you want it fast and cheap, it cannot be good. Good and fast certainly will not be cheap. But more importantly is, if you want it good and cheap, plan well. Do a lot in your planning stage, provide ample time so that you could tap into as many opportunities as possible without having to spend a lot of resource.
So what kinds of tools or approaches have you yourself used in your communication programs?
Well, I mean, on the procurement reform bill in the Philippines, when we were helping in the communications process, I mean, when you don't have enough funding, I mean, your funding is very limited, you really, really have to think out of the box to find ways of getting your messages out. Now, the government has thousands and thousands of computers. Now, one day we were discussing with our team, and I said, why do we have to give the space on our computer to, anybody else's screensaver? Why can't we develop our own screensaver, put all the salient features of the bill we're pushing, advocating the passage of the procurement reform, and so that at least the key features get known by people in government, because it's going to affect them in their work.
That's very creative.
And at the end of the day, that's a lot of real estate without having to cost us very much in terms of added funds, because it only took a programmer to put that together, and that is a free resource.
So it became a new communication channel.
Oh yeah, I mean, you really have to look, I mean, when you're pressed, you really, really have to think out of the box and look for ways and means to get your message out. Even in terms of, when there's seminars, a simple thing like, many of the seminars that we were holding, the workshops, these were in the middle of summer, and it's very, very hot. Now, not everybody has air-conditioned conference rooms and everything. When you are out around the country, oftentimes you'll be faced with, a very warm setting. So we developed little fans, because while it's warm, you want to fan yourself and keep cool. And those little fans would have all the key salient features of our bills. So it's a dual purpose.
And again, another communication channel.
There's a lot of, like I said, when you have limited funding, you'll do your best in trying to reach out and get your message out.